Just because you're loyal doesn't mean the bank's loyal to you.
What are they loyal to?
Yeah, well, they're loyal to that shmoney, bro. You know what I mean?
To the interest rate.
They got their own policies. They're not going to be like, oh, Mr. and Mrs. First Home Loan. Just because you've banked with us for 10 years,
100%.
we don't care about our banking policies.
100%.
We're going to give you the loan anyway.
100%.
That ain't how it works. Welcome to the Teach Me About Property podcast.
Let's go.
With Massey and Felise.
Felise, it's your boy Felise. What's up? What's up?
What's up? So, Felise, but I understand you got some questions for me?
100%, man.
Talk,
100%.
man. Let's talk.
Look, these are some of the common questions that I get.
Yep.
But I think it's also important for people just to understand the difference, yeah?
Yep. So, Massey, here's some questions.
All right, so Massey,
Hit me
here's
with
some
it.
questions. All right, so what is the difference when someone's looking to buy property to go to the bank versus using the bank to get their mortgage or using a broker?
Yeah, good question. Look, the biggest difference is when you go into a bank, so let's say you go to the Commonwealth Bank.
Yeah.
Right? So we just pick a bank, any
That's
bank,
right.
Commonwealth
Yeah.
Bank. When you go to a Commonwealth Bank is only going to show you their products.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
like
that
you're
makes sense.
going to buy a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
And you go, well, I'm going to go to the Nike outlet. And you go into Nike. Nike's only going to
That's so
sell
true.
you
That makes
Nike
sense.
shoes.
That's right.
Right? Whereas if you go into like a Foot Locker or a store like that, they have everyone's shoes.
Yeah,
So,
so-
you can try on the New
So
Balances.
Foot Locker is equivalent to a broker.
A broker, yeah. So you go in and they've got everyone's shoes. You try on everyone's shoes. They all have a different fit. If you only try on the Nikes, you're going to determine for you what is the best Nike for you, right? But if you try on all the Nikes,
Different varieties, different options.
and all the New Balances, and all the Pumas, and all the Asics, and all the Brooks, right? And then you get to the end, you go, this is the best shoe for me. Then you know exactly which one's the best one for you. So that's probably the biggest difference.
Yeah.
When you go to a bank, the bank is only going to show you their products. And banks have their own policies. And the big one here is that bank might not like you.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, you don't qualify.
What does that mean?
That means no, you don't get a loan.
Because of your...
Their policies. You mightn't meet that bank's policies
Okay.
for the loans. They mightn't have a good policy based on your income, what type of job you have, how long you've been in the job, right? There might be issues that they don't like, the type of employment that you have.
Also, they might have their own policy or certain
Yeah,
standard.
so banks have policies. They have the policies that the way that they view each and everything,
Okay.
right? And so you mightn't meet their policies.
Yeah, interesting.
You might have an issue from a borrowing capacity perspective,
Yeah.
right? And that happens a lot. So you can't borrow enough money or you don't qualify because you've got some other debts or bits and pieces. And what happens is what I see a lot, the challenges,
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. First homeowner want to buy a home.
Yeah.
They go into the bank and the bank might say no to them.
Yeah.
And then they think that means
All
they
the
can't-
banks.
all the banks are saying no,
Yeah.
and I can't get a loan. I'm never going to own a property.
Yeah.
And that's not true. If you go to a broker understands the policies of each of the lenders. Just like when you go to Foot Locker, they're like, what kind of shoe? Oh, well, you know what? Actually, Asics has a better
Asics,
running shoe.
yeah.
What type of training do you do?
Yeah.
Okay, if you're doing that training, you should be looking at these types of
Nike or
shoes.
Reebok, yeah.
They understand through
That's so
the
true.
through
Wow.
the shoes which is the best shoe for the type of training that you want to do, right? And it's the same for a broker. A broker's like, okay, so you're casual, but you've been in your job for quite a while, 2-3 years. It's all right. I got you. Oh, okay, you've got some money that comes from this
Interesting.
job. So they will look at you and then they will understand which is the best bank or best lender to actually take you to.
Yeah, wow.
Every lender has their own policies, and it's not one policy for every person, it's policies for every lender. So sometimes you get a no, you'll get in a no because the lender that you went to, you don't match or suit their policies. But
Yeah.
you go, age is a big one. If people are a little bit older.
Okay.
Certain banks, they're quite harsh on that, and you can't get the loan. They think, oh, it's because I'm old. Yes, I mean, being old wasn't the best thing. However, there's other lenders that have policies that suit older people.
Yeah.
So what a broker will do is they'll know that.
They'll
They're
know
like,
that.
yeah, okay, so your situation, you're a little bit older, you've only got this much deposit, you're a first homeowner, whatever your scenario is, they will want to match you to the best lender. And that is the biggest difference.
I think that's very important to understand.
Well,
Because-
you can break your own heart because you go and you get a no.
But some people, they've banked with a certain bank for a long time.
Yeah.
And so they feel like they trust that bank,
Yeah.
That's where their loyalty is. But, you being able to...
Yeah, but you've got to understand, right? Just because you're loyal doesn't mean the bank's loyal to you. Right? You got to understand that.
What are they loyal to?
Yeah, well, they're loyal to that shmoney, bro. You know what I mean?
To the interest rate.
They got their own policies. They're not going to be like, oh, Mr. and Mrs. First Home Loaner, just because you've banked with us for 10 years,
100%.
we don't care about our banking policies.
100.
We're going to give you the loan anyway.
100.
That ain't how it works.
100.
People feel that they're loyal, but more than loyal, people like familiarity.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that for a long time.
That's right.
I know all my banking passwords.
Yeah,
I know
that's
this.
right. The
People
colours,
like familiarity.
internet banking.
I've got the app. I know how to use it. There's no issues.
yeah.
You know, I'm comfortable with that. But what you've also got to understand is, you know, owning your first home, getting into property, building a property investment portfolio, you have to do what's best for your family.
Yeah, that's right.
And if the lender that you've been with for the last 10, 12, 15, 27, 38 years is not the best lender for your family, then you need to go to the lender that is the best lender for your family. You need to do what's best for your family when it comes to getting into the property market and to building property wealth and, you know, having property investments.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Okay, cool. So one of the other questions that people like, so for example, call TMAP, they call us and they're like, they've done the borrowing capacity online.
Yep.
So their bank, they bank with NAB.
Yeah, so jump on the NAB calculator.
Jump on the NAB and there's the NAB calculator, your borrowing capacity. So what would be the biggest difference with the borrowing capacity online versus an actual borrowing capacity from a broker?
Yeah, so the first thing is, you know, you're comfy. You're at home, you're laying in bed, it's 12:27 p.m. You should be asleep by now, but you're scrolling on your phone, right? And you're there, and if for some reason you land on a mortgage calculator, you're like, oh, I wonder how much money I can borrow.
Want to buy your first property?
I wonder how much money I can borrow. Let's find out. Let's find out. Babe, I'm the man. I'm going to buy us a house. I got this.
Yeah, let's see how much I can borrow.
So you punch in all your details and it tells you, Mr. and Mrs. First Home Buyer, you can borrow $950,000. And that number just kind of locks in your brain. And you're like, it's all right, man. That's almost $1 million, man. I got us.
Yeah.
Don't worry, babe. My cash plus their cash. Yeah. We can go buy $1 million property, whatever it is, right? So what's the biggest difference is that borrowing capacity is extremely vague. There's no confirmation of all of the information that you put in.
So what is it? More just a generic?
Well, let me explain, right? So they'll say, what's your income? And you'll put in, oh, yeah, I get about $120,000.
Yeah.
Ish, you know what I mean? But lenders don't treat all income equally. So you might earn $120,000, but you might only get $80,000 base and $40,000 commission or overtime.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the lender, when they see that, they treat the money differently. And one way that they do that, it's called shaving. They might go, well, the $80,000, we'll take 100% of that $80,000.
Yep.
But your overtime, because overtime is not guaranteed.
That's right.
And you may or may not get the overtime. We'll only take 80% of that overtime or 70% of that overtime. Right? Or
because banks, they're always trying to play safe.
Yeah, but again, policy. Remember that word earlier?
Policy,
we said policy. Yeah. Banks have policies. The way that they treat the income could be different. And not only that, people tend to, when they're estimating, most people estimate up.
Overestimate.
Overestimate. How much? Oh, about 105 grand.
They don't go down.
I'm 120
How much they make? I'll make about 6 figures.
You get the pay slip, bro, you're 98 grand. Oh, really? So people, first of all, you know, and people are just casual about the numbers they're putting in.
Yeah.
Whereas and so what happens is they think, well, I've got this number, the bank's going to lend me $950,000.
Wow.
Someone's told me to go to a broker, I'll go to a broker. Then the broker turns on and says, oh no, you can only borrow 800.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, the bank's way better than a broker.
Yeah.
No. The broker slowed down. He got into the details of your finances.
Yeah.
He got paperwork that would substantiate all of the claims that you've made about your income and your expenses. Man. So a lot of people don't know the nitty gritty detail. Like if you ask, oh, yeah, I've got a car loan. How much car loan? Oh, it's about 20 grand. It might have been 20 grand 8 years ago.
Yeah.
3 years
what's
ago.
The actual amount?
Yeah. So what's the actual amount? And people don't know that off the top of their head.
Yeah, facts.
Most people don't know that. Most people are vague on their finances and they know it's roughly about. But roughly about and is. And like I said, when it comes to income, they always estimate upwards. When it comes to expenses, they tend to estimate downwards.
Is it? What about debt?
Debt down. Oh, it's only about this much.
Super up.
Yeah. So and you add both of those things together and then you put in the policy of shaving, then that's why you end up. So the biggest thing that would happen when you go, I've gone to an online calculator, I've actually gone to a broker and the borrowing capacities don't match. The reason why they don't match is what you entered into the calculator wasn't accurate.
Yeah.
It's not accurate. It's not accurate in terms of being substantiated by your own documentation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Different. So you get a different result. But the broker result is true.
That's the
It's fact, because they've substantiated all of your income and expense claims based on your own documentation. So now it's real.
Yeah, interesting. I think it's important for everyone to kind of understand that are still in that research phase. You know, when they're in that research phase and they're trying to figure out on their own.
Yeah, but also people don't know.
Yeah,
and because
yeah.
you don't know, you skew to the information that you want to know,
Yeah.
that you want to believe.
Yeah.
I believe we can buy a $1 million property, right? And the bank's going, and then you go into a broker. The broker's, no, you can only borrow 800.
And then they're like, well,
And they're like, well, I might as well
bank's-
just go to the bank because
this
the
bank's
bank
better.
told me I could get in. And then what they'll say is, oh, Commonwealth Bank told me that I could get this.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, did they tell you that? Or was it an
was
online
it a desktop?
calculator?
Yeah, was it a
and you just
desktop?
chucked in some numbers
100%.
on Tuesday morning at 2:15 a.m. when you couldn't sleep that day.
100%.
You know what I mean? So that's the biggest difference.